Welcome back to another video. Today, we're gonna be playing Tiny Bunny. Turn off the lights, get some covers, get some blankets, maybe a little popcorn and some tea. It's gonna be a nice, fun video. This is a game, one of the top most rated on Steam. So we're gonna be playing it. Just me, you, and Tiny Bunny. That was surprisingly timed, oh my goodness. But this should be fun. Think of it as a novel. Every choice we make is going to affect the outcome of this game. Kinda like Detroit. But better. A lot better. Get some headphones on, as this may be a sensory experience. The wind clawed at my window all night long. How do I go forward? Oh, there we go. Okay. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. Wow, that's good. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twinned in the air. They were shouting and laughing, and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Hey, put away your books. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Don't read any books, kids. It's bad for your health. Look how slouched you are. Hide. Oh. I didn't protest, and I put the book about Conan and the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyways. Olia. Olaya. Olaf. I had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic, she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. Easy anxiousness wallowed up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder and lumpy white substance became. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is, or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. What did I just say? I'll get it. Karina. Ah, that's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal, damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been a bit of a bad mood lately. I imagine her being my age, sitting under the table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? I imagine being my grandma. I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed while Aloya slept nowadays and sang this in her soft, smooth voice.
I got a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. And that would be it.
Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in one of the conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket. I know that feeling. She called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all of the photos were gone. I crawled out from under the table. Alaya was done with her cookies and was looking at my chair like a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze towards the frosted window. Alaya, look! It's a fox. Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of student notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle. Not outside, on the window. Look, here's the nose. And hey, eat up. Yes, just a moment. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. Mom would always ask, jokingly, come on, shave it off. It stinks. This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Alaya always covers her ears whenever she hears something like, what's the point of all this? Through the wall. I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. D-I-V-O. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families. Anyways, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window. You and your owl talk again. You said you believed me just yesterday. Has anybody seen my car keys? I remember leaving them on the window, Seal. Right. Maybe you did, and maybe not. You're a grown man, a father of two, and still. Karina, please, stop. Just let me get ready in peace. Your keys are in the basket near the phone. Thank you very much. Anton, stop making a martyr of yourself and finish eating already. And the owl. There was no owl, but there was one. It has a giant glowing eyes. Alaya sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers the size of an apple each. Last year, you had Babai in your closet, and now this owl. What is a Babai? Oh shoot. But I saw it. Olaya shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice? Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. Olaya pouted her lips into rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in your eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with keys he just found. A minute had passed, and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on incredibly worn-out cassette tape, which Dad already had to glue together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together. For example, how do you fix a relationship? Olaya had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to the house. She would toss and turn or curl up to a ball under the blanket. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped take our mind off the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Oh. And then Olaya said she saw that giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olaya refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of their nightmares. After tonight, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? Just last night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking what to expect in my new school. There were a couple of days left because the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisted hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. But all the students behind the desk were simply dark figures, cut using a tablet. Circular holes capped in the middle of their faces, and pair of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if someone completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat, blacked silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy stares, made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down, stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glass I wore made me outside or some sort of a monster. My gaze lit across the drawing hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olaya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagined Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "Got the wrong number. Anton is not around. Anton is not around." Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family, with their ashen eyes, were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking. Rusty drawings were moaning. The attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of a demonic melody. And then I realized I was, in fact, hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in with some sounds of the wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that the music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there, amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out. with the dark forest as a backup. They jumped around, basked in the moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around, and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood up right at times, circled around holding hands, and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadow for a brief moment and then coming back. Well, that's pretty creepy. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly, the music stopped. The dancing shadow froze in place, and I could swear, pierced me with her eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre show, carnival, and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. Oh my gosh. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the bed. They saw me. A freezing current of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guests move and scrape around, looking for an entrance. I jumped in the bed and curved myself with a blanket as if it would protect me. I remembered the funeral. My grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of chair that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then, her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their socket and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chatting the spell she taught me through the whole procedure, and now lying there on the blanket and listening to squeaks and howls. I was repeating this. On the island of Buyan, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, stands a cabin made of wood. They lay lard and ashen hair for the spawn from Devil's Lair, the feast and always leave alone God's faithful servants named Anta. Evil leave the house must, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sand had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hang. And then the night dosed me with a new portrait of boiling terror. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. The doorknob twitched slightly. Then it turned halfway. Once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more, and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door cracked and opened. My wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness whistled inside the carnivore's mouth of a doorway. Toonie. Oh my goodness. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flipping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. It was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corner of my room, waiting for one who weaved it to come out of the capping black hole. Toonie. Maybe I should in the voice.
Toonie.
There we go. My abandon tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me,
Tony, you asleep?
My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. Malaya? I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Malaya frowned and stuck out her lower lip. a clear sign that she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Shoo her away, Tony, please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away, and it hit somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olaya down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Olaya sobbed. Let's go to your room and watch the video. Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? What's that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing? Feverishly under the moon. You coming? Yes, just a moment. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olaya and Owl in the morning. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. A couple policemen towered over me in the doorway. Hello? The senior officer, who wore a grim expression, nodded. A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name was Vova. Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held out a photograph to me. There was a chicha boy around the age of elementary school, picture with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had striped cat in his hands and worn a watch. No, I haven't. Are you sure? He looks closely. But would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window. That's right, your window. Look straight at the forest, don't they? The window. No, I haven't seen anything. I see. He sounded tired, but his eyes, his stare, long and heavy, was full of suspicion. Then I'll leave you my number, just in case. Call me if you have any other new info. Looked at the window, at the road. The police UAZ drove off towards the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splinting off old paints from the windowsill. And then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation on my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy. And I'll get a reward. Elia will be so happy. And not only Elia, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their cool wells for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the B-word. I fantasize about buying Elia a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. I couldn't wait to go out looking for clues. I'm going outside. Yeah, right. You want the policeman to go around with your photograph next? The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals? Or something even worse? Even worse. Echo through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said? Or should I repeat myself? Better go back. Your school bag or play with a light. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. Oh. So I think this is where we get to decide what we do. And it will eventually lead to a different story. What I think we're gonna do. You can open under the stairs. I think that's the basement. I don't know. I think that's under the stairs, like it's mentioned. The kitchen. I think we're gonna go to the front yard. We can also go there. Okay, let's go to the front yard. I opened the front gate and went into the field. Carefully, so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half of the distance towards the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there, distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow along me. And a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent, I felt like the world was totally empty. So silent, I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Alaya. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots shivered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze into the ice. Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. Should I take it to the police? Vova! I heard a distant shout. Looked like it came from the river. Vova? Someone was standing there, behind the trees. Hiding. Vova? There's no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapping its wings loudly. A shadow split from the trees and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. My muscles were tightly sprung, my heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, and a small whistle from the thick and I'll sprint. But nothing of that sort happened. I looked at the minute once more. I decided to take the lonely minute from the branch. Vova? A shout wobbled across the field and dissolved into the distance. No echo, no hopeful reply. I stepped towards the bristly trees and tried to claim my find. I didn't budge. I pulled harder, the branch cracked, and the minute tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too heavy, wet. I squeezed it without thinking and something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny stream between the midden and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. I froze in place, studying my palms in disgust. Red. The sound of creaking branches invaded the silence. I didn't have to think twice before running away. Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was throwing me crazy. Crazy flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket and I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one for reason, gave me strength, spurred me on. You can't do it, don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come back from the pack of hungry beasts, rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked my freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, from the twisted pines, from under the windfall. Let me run, don't look back. I reached a clear path with one jump, and from there, ran to my house. Its gloomy, fast gate didn't look threatening now. That house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hiding under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks. as if the dog was striking the wood in its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I didn't notice these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my eyes was so much louder than my surroundings, I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in for the yard and Mom had locked the door, drowning in fear with the doorknob, and it obediently gave away? Mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly did you understand when I told you to never slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone, and the breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, well 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring. My eyes gave away. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold smack of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as before all those worlds. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow. Her expression changed. An instant, she covered her mouth with her hand. Mom beckoned me with her finger and gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swinging in the snow through the icy winter patterns. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my parents among a pack of stupid strays. And what for? What use do I have for this? Midden? Of course! A dark and sticky midden that belongs to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching it the whole time. That's my trump card as a detective. The boy the police were asking about this morning. It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging on a tree. I can show you where. Let's call police right away, like the officer had told us. Mom, look! Well, I will go insane if she hears you. She already has trouble sleeping and whines all the time. You joke around like this? At the moment, I realized the midden was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy, who cried wolf. Oh, don't just stand up. Come take your pills. A golden-colored pill, reminiscent of a dead wasp, fell onto my palm. Come on, take it, or you won't be able to sleep at night, and you have school tomorrow. Maybe it wasn't Wolf's midden. Maybe it wasn't a midden at all. Just like the forest monsters. And Elias owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? The pill had an immediate effect. Oh my gosh, I know my eyes. The pill had an immediate effect on my overexerted brain. Didn't let fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing yawning indifference along with it. It seemed like the house had changed. The sofa's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt indifferent, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my tooth had a different taste. A melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Alaya was done rewatching her favorite Little Mermaid episode and switched to other tapes. Then I went upstairs. Jafar's and Lago's voice died down. I walked past Alaya's bedroom and slipped into my own. One of the drawers was empty. I hid the midden in there. Oh, nice. Got an achievement. One for your life. The simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. I sat on the bed. And only then I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My tired head dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to the medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to conform. As if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The room's corners bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the whole room was a figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor, just like a seventh of sorts. Olaya? Who else would be standing there? I stood up and licked my dried up lips. Yeah, Olaya. It's so funny. I reached towards the curtains. But beat my heart, uncontrolled by medication. The wind sang in the field with a chorus of voices. Elastic wings rustled again, the hold when I pulled up the curtains. Gotcha. I knew it was you from the beginning. A brilliantly bright halo lit above Olaya's head with the setting sun as the background. My sister was shining. I saw everything. Oh really? What did you hide? Swear that you won't tell anyone, then I'll show you. Olaya wore a plotting smile. I swore on Mom's heart. An oath she heard in one of the movies about the pioneers we watched. Don't say things like that. She was filled with curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer and Olaya leaned in, holding her breath. Is this someone's mitten? She said that if she couldn't understand what she saw, a certain boy lost it. He got lost himself. Must be really cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going to house to house, showing his photo to everybody. And why are they going to houses and not the forest? Are they scared? The question caught me off guard. The police aren't scared of anything. Yeah, right. She was piercing the forest with the incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her. What if the owl got? Nonsense. An owl won't be able to lift a human. But you know what? I was picking my words with the utmost care. I forced them out of all exerted way. Stay away from the forest. I think it's... How should I put this? It's cursed or something. Just like in a fairy tale? No, not like that. More like in that spooky tape Mom and Dad were hiding from us. Tony, let's go watch that. Fatigue won over a desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy. I'm too tired. I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone and Mom is always busy. You can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. I know all of the tapes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it? And so much happens after that. Let's go. Maybe a bit late. I know. Let's play hide and seek. No, Olaya. Then draw me a dino. Olaya, please. Try it. Will you leave me alone already? I blurted out a window thinking, and I was immediately taken back. I never screamed at my little sister before like that. Olaya stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears. I hurried to prevent the life. Alright, you win. Let's go watch cartoons for a bit. I don't wanna. I came up to her, put my hands on her soft head. Let's go. Let's go watch Peter Pan. Ooh, you'll fall asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless. Olaya rubbed her eyes with a sleeve for her pajamas, and a shiny smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mom for condensed milk and bread, and you rewind the tape. The bread is fresh, just how you like it. Alright, just be careful not to spill the milk, or you'll be yelled at again. Wanna bet I won't spill it? The tape is somewhere in the nightstand, look for it. Olaya disappeared into the doorway and dragged my feet into the neighboring room. The old bolt-on TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that was left was clicking the button on the front panel. The two warmed and familiar white noises started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to the torn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for the moment. It was a dark tiger forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Something creepy, resembling human speech, was coming from the speaker. Just a few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did it catch some woke signal? Olaya had asked me to find the tape. It would have been nice to disappoint her, but in my sleep state, I didn't have strength to do all of it. Wait, what? I could have looked or messed with the antenna? What? I didn't know that was a choice. My little sister was silent now. She just devoured bread, watching the adventure of Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, and James Hook, as if she got sucked into the fairy tale Neverlands. To be honest, I also imagined myself then, in a land where one never ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to fights, and the sound of broken plates at night. Then my sister screamed, pulled me back to reality. Tony, shut the curtains fast. Why? No one's watching you. It's dark, and when it's dark, Owl comes. I'm scared. I got out of bed, fighting my drowsiness, and closed the curtains. I did my best not to look outside, towards the treetops, towards the tiger forest, which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from shadows of branches scrapping the shadows. Tony, Mom thinks I made the owl up. And Dad too thinks I'm a liar, since I'm small. But the owl exists. Honestly it does. You do believe me, right? That it comes every night, and yes, I believe you, alright? Just don't nag our parents about it anymore. They're always dealing with a lot, so they'll just get mad at you. Come and tell me if anything happens. And don't look out the window. But it wants me to look. Doesn't matter. Act like it doesn't exist and never existed. Like it's made up. Just like Mom and Dad say. You'll get tired of waiting and fly away. I stood up and left Elias' room. I was looking out the window, studying the film, when Mom peeked into my room. And not playing around. It's your first day of school tomorrow. Go to bed. You should sleep properly. You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? I covered myself with blankets up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. The wind howled on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. Oh. Wow. Well, damn. Such a good game. I really enjoy playing that game. You know, the art style is very nice. You don't see that a lot in these kinds of games, and it's a different change of pace from what the games we've been playing before, the scary games we tried before, like Phasmophobia and things like that. I really enjoyed the game. A lot of jump scares, a lot of good stuff happening here, a lot of good stuff. I look forward to the next episodes. If you guys don't know, this game is free. This Steam game is free, unless I'm mistaken. I think it's free. Once I edit this, I'll check if it's free. I think it's free. Can I check that, please? Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, so it's free. You can download this game and try it out for yourselves. This is gonna be a 1 out of 5 part series when the next part comes out. We'll give it a try because I really love what's going on here. A lot of potential. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It took a lot of editing, but on that, folks, that's what we're going to be ending in. You guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the